A Trump executive order points to global empire. Hey guys, Britt here. Welcome to End Times Bible Prophecy. What is President Trump trying to achieve with one of his most recent presidential executive orders? Well, I believe he's trying to position the United States to win a global arms race, one with profound implications for every person on the planet. Now, there's been very little news coverage of what we're going to talk about today, but have no doubt about it, it ends with global empire. But first, just a couple of reminders. First one on Wednesday of this week. So Wednesday, August 13th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be having our latest prophecy roundtable where we talk about mostly technology subjects, technocracy, transhumanism, AI, quantum computing, all sorts of different subjects. That'll include myself, John Haller, Patrick Wood, Scott Townsend, and Pete Garcia. So make sure to check us out live. If you missed the live, the recording's immediately available to watch forever. So make sure to check that out. Also, as a reminder, if you missed the announcement on Friday, all of my books are now available to read free in Kindle Unlimited. So if you're a member of Kindle Unlimited over at Amazon, you can read all of these books for free. If you're an Audible on Amazon, you can listen to all of these books for free. And also, something I failed to mention, due to inflation, the paperback versions of these, which are currently $12.95 in US dollars, those are going to be going up $2 to $14.95 in about a week. So if you're interested in that and you want to get that at the current price, check that out now. But again, all of these are available now for free in Kindle Unlimited and Audible if you want to check those out. So back to where we were. This Trump executive order, I believe, points to global empire. What am I talking about? Well, let's start here with this zero hedge story. It's actually from the Epic Times. It says, Trump administration unveils rule to, quote, unleash American drone dominance. This is a direct quote from the Department of Transportation. We're seeing this through all the agencies at the federal level are pushing this. You can find stories on about all of those agencies. But I think there's more than meets the eye to this story. There's a lot more behind it. So let's see what they say here. It says the Trump administration has announced a proposed rule on drones aimed at stimulating the U.S. drone market. Quote, we're going to unleash American drone dominance, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said in an August 5th press conference. Duffy noted that China dominates drones with 90% control of the market. Quote, we're turning over our skies to one of our main adversaries, he said. The new rule would allow people to get products such as a Starbucks cup of coffee via drone, he said, adding that it will also change energy production, farming, manufacturing, and filmmaking. And again, maybe I could see where this might work if you're in a skyscraper in the city and they can just send a drone up from the first floor where the Starbucks is and bring you the cup of coffee. But these things are flying a mile or more. I can't. Seems like a lot of overkill for a cup of coffee. But notice this is yet another story we see where they say, well, yeah, we could have drones to deliver a cup of coffee or for all of these other things. No, military applications is where their focus is in doing this. We'll talk about why in just a second. But this goes on to mention basically that they're cutting red tape across the board to try to unleash private domestic development of drones and experimentation with drones. They want the free market to take over and to eliminate as many regulatory hurdles as possible so that people can come up with new innovations, right? That's ultimately what they're looking for. It says, the United States must accelerate the safe commercialization of drone technologies and fully integrate unmanned aircraft systems into the national airspace system, it stated. The time has come to accelerate testing and to enable routine drone operations, scale up domestic production, and expand the export of trusted, American manufactured drone technologies to global markets. Building a strong and secure domestic drone sector is vital to reducing reliance on foreign sources, strengthening critical supply chains, and ensuring that the benefits of this technology are delivered to the American people. It says the rule would also require operators to address security risks, such as protecting drones from intentional electronic interference. And that line should catch our attention because what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to take entrepreneurs, just individuals, hobbyists, and eliminate as much red tape as possible so they can tinker with new ideas, come up with new concepts, and they can innovate in this field. And while they can talk about farming and Starbucks coffee delivery all they want, but the purpose is for military applications. That's what they have in mind in writing this executive order. And that last line should have tipped us off where they say, such as protecting drones from intentional electronic interference. We've seen how drones dominate the battlefield in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And one of the hurdles both of those sides have to overcome is eliminating interference from the other side with the drones they're sending. And so we've seen Russia, in some cases, attach actual fiber optic cables to their drones, which of course limits the range of those drones. We've seen all sorts of different new ideas being used. Here they're going to do this under the guise of, well, we can't have somebody jam the drone and the Starbucks coffee in the drone fall on somebody's head from down below. So why don't you come up with a method? We'll give people an economic incentive in drone delivery domestically to come up with ways where they can prove to us that this is secure and nobody can jam it, and then tell us how you did it, right? That's what ultimately all of this is about. It's about coming up with new ideas and enlisting as many minds as possible into tackling these problems and to coming up with new ways to do this. And of course, back in that article, they said, reducing our reliance on foreign sources, strengthening critical supply chains. So again, right now, the United States military in particular is highly dependent on China for critical elements in the supply chain for our military needs. And we've seen the Trump administration working overtime to try to eliminate as much of that as possible and to try to have domestic sourcing of things like rare earth metals, for instance. But drones is one of those areas where we see China, in terms of domestic drones and the things you might buy as a hobbyist, they dominate that market. But this is increasingly becoming a military market, and you don't want to have any reliance on a foreign adversary if that's where the future of warfare is, and it is. And guys, this is a big deal. It's about more than just falling behind in a area of military application, or we may find ourselves exposed to the supply chain issue. This is a matter of world domination and global empire, because not only are drones the future of warfare, but those that can manufacture these drones at scale in the future will have the world at their feet. And so we've talked in the past about something called the Replicator Initiative. The Department of Defense announced this back in the summer of 2023, August 2023 to be exact. I went to find an article on that and DuckDuckGo search engine, and they popped out, behold, their new AI assistant. And it gave a rather good overview of what is the Replicator Initiative. And it says, the Replicator Initiative is a program by the United States Department of Defense aimed at rapidly producing large quantities of autonomous systems and weapons. It was announced in August 2023. The primary goal is to enhance military capabilities to counter threats, particularly from China. And notice one of the key objectives here, rapid production. The The initiative focuses on quickly developing and deploying thousands of low-cost expendable drones and robotic systems. I think they put an 18-month to 24-month window on this. According to the latest articles, they are on track to meet those initiatives. Again, this is on a small scale. They're talking about at most a few thousand of these land-based, sea-based, and air-based drones being deployed simultaneously at one time. So that's a move up from what we had seen prior to really Russia-Ukraine conflict. We're starting to see that over there now. But guys, much more is coming, and there's a reason that they picked this name Replicator Initiative. And we pointed this out, but there are new people coming to the program all the time that don't understand the significance of this. So the word replicator is a highly charged word from a book published back in 1986 titled Engines of Creation by Eric Drexler. I believe it was the subtitle was The Coming Era of Nanotechnology. So we are heading into that era now, and there is a race on to be able to manufacture these drones at scale at low cost. And there's a technology called molecular manufacturing that will enable that. It's atomically precise manufacturing. And it will be able to create an abundance of material goods at very low cost for whoever creates it. And that means that whoever is the first to achieve this breakthrough technology will have the world at their feet, because they will be able to manufacture these drones at scale. Now, when I say that, just as a reminder, back over at the Substack at brittgillette.substack.com, we put this out back in July, AI, drone swarms, and the end times. When a lot of people, when we mention drones, well, they think of this, right? These quadcopters that you might get off the store shelf at Walmart. And when you talk about drone swarms, they think about, well, a whole bunch of those. But that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about drone swarms and the drone swarms that are coming, this is what we're talking about. This is actually a photo of a swarm of bees. Now imagine these bees under human computerized control using AI to be able to fly in tandem, operate as part of a decentralized swarm, adapt and move on the battlefield, learn in real time. That's what we're talking about. And the ability to manufacture these expendable munitions in real time at low cost is what molecular manufacturing is going to enable. And so when this happens, whoever achieves this first will have the ability to conquer the entire world. Mutual assured destruction goes out the window, because imagine the underwater counterparts of these drones right here. Underwater fish drones, schools of fish underwater. You could light up the world's oceans, find out where all the nuclear-armed submarines are. You could eliminate your adversary's ability to strike with nuclear weapons once you have molecular manufacturing. You could build this capability up in a very short amount of time. And that is why, guys, back in 2017, we had this article come out. It says, Putin says the nation that leads in AI will be ruler of the world. Again, this is from back in 2017, September 2017 to be exact. So at that time, Vladimir Putin was speaking to a group of college students who were graduating, and he made this comment. He said the leader in this field, speaking specifically of AI, will be ruler of the world. And we pointed this out way back at that time and said, this should be the headline. The headline at the time should be, leader of one of the world's largest nuclear superpowers says mutual assured destruction will come to an end. Because how could this enable a nation such as his to be ruled over, or a nation like his to rule over the United States or another nuclear power? unless mutual assured destruction comes to an end. So have no doubt about it, guys. He knows what's coming. Vladimir Putin does. So does Donald Trump. That's why he wrote this executive order. The world's leaders, at least the ones that are in higher positions or leading some of the top countries in the world, they all understand what's at stake here. Whoever achieves the critical breakthroughs in these advanced technologies, so we're talking AI, quantum computing, molecular manufacturing, and as a result of that, drone swarm technology in general, will have not only the ability to conquer the world, but the obligation to conquer the world. Because to allow a second power to develop the same capabilities would lead to a volatile, unstable global arms race that would inevitably result in cataclysmic destruction of humanity. So regardless of what the motive is, whoever develops this will use it to conquer the world and establish a global empire. And very few people are talking about this. This isn't something that makes the headlines. They'll announce things like the Replicator Initiative, where they say, well, we just want to speed this up. But hidden behind the scenes and written in between the lines with code phrases like Replicator Initiative is that there is a race on to create molecular manufacturing or atomically precise manufacturing that will enable these capabilities, the capability to manufacture drones at mass scale on the battlefield in real time. Imagine launching swarm after swarm of these drones at your enemy. There's nothing they could do. Conventional military capabilities, anything that we see in the battlefield today, none of it is able to stand up to this. It would all be wiped out. So whoever has this will become ruler of the world. And unsurprisingly, the Bible tells us such a time is coming. We read in the book of Revelation in chapter 13 that one man will rule the entire world, every people, nation, language, and tongue. It says tribe and tongue, and people of the world will say, well, who can make war against him? Who's as powerful as he is? We're seeing those technologies come, along with them the technologies to rule over a world that's been conquered, to be able to control who can buy and who can sell. So we're seeing technology advance toward what the Bible long ago foretold us was coming, and it tells us the times in which we live. And I believe this latest executive order by Donald Trump is pointing toward that. Again, it's trying to create innovation in domestic drone technology in order to get to this point so that the United States doesn't lose this race. Someone will win it. I believe it's going to be the Antichrist, because the Bible is telling us that time is coming, and whoever develops this will conquer the world with it. There's no indication that there's a first world empire and then the Antichrist comes along later. So guys, I think we're headed into those times where we're a lot closer than most people think. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. And God, remember on Wednesday we had the roundtable, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to check that out live if you can. If not, the recording will be there after. But leave your comments below. And God willing, I will see you on Wednesday.